John Anik and Kenny Florian Podcast. John Anik and Kenny Florian.
I fucking love them. I can't get enough of them.
Let's hear that Boston next.
Big jab there from Duffy, and Frank Mir is hurt now. Down goes Duffy, out cold. Frank Mir does it again. Rock'em sock'em robots here. Oh my goodness.
Hyperbole. There are a couple of absolutely self-involved bullshit artists.
Here are your hosts, John Anik and Kenny Florian.
Oh, right back in the saddle, and always the pleasure is on this side of the camera or microphone. Good Monday to you, March 30th, 2026. It is episode 589 of the Anik Florian Podcast, powered by All the Smoke Fight. Kenny, are you wearing that Celtic Kelly green because you watched the Boston Celtics beat the Charlotte Hornets live in person last night?
Maybe. We did get a win. It was a good game. Tatum was hot.
Yeah.
And, it was my first time. They redid the Charlotte Hornets arena. Yeah, dude, it's nice.
Yeah.
It's nice. Dude, I think half or more of the audience there were Celtics fans, so that was pretty funny. Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah, Boston sports fans travel well, but
yeah.
Good to hear that you were going to be in the building last night. And if I had more advance notice, I would have reached out, of course, to our good friend, the Boston Celtics head coach, Joe Mazzulla.
That's right. Yeah.
Who incidentally texted me on Saturday asking me who I thought was going to win the fight between Israel Adesanya and Joe Pyfer. And
that's awesome.
An amazing main event, an amazing card. What a weekend for the UFC in Seattle. Order restored is my thesis statement on the weekend. We will get into all of that. The man of the weekend was Joe Pyfer, who is scheduled to join us here live in a few minutes. We will also talk to Platinum Mike Perry at the bottom of the hour. He's got a big mixed martial arts contest coming up against Nathan Diaz, of course, on May 16th. Ray Longo will join us as he always does. And we will also look ahead at the end of the show to UFC Fight Night. Moicano versus Duncan, a couple of American top team teammates, the men on the marquee at the UFC Apex this weekend. And thanks to everybody for joining us live. Some people in the comments suggesting we are the lunch break crew. Let us know about the time slot. Would you rather 10 a.m. Eastern, the old time slot, 11 a.m. Eastern? We're right now noon on the screws, but let us know. You know, we moved it back so that Ray Longo could get his beauty sleep. But a lot to get into. Massive weekend for the UFC in the Pacific Northwest. Let us get to headlines.
Headlines.
It's time for headlines.
I have some very urgent and important breaking news.
Headlines.
On the John Anik and Kenny Florian Podcast.
Well, what makes mixed martial arts great is when you have former champions like Israel Adesanya willing to give opportunities to up-and-coming contenders like Joe Pyfer. The danger factor in this matchup certainly was not lost on Izzy, but given where he was at this stage of his career, put his high ranking on the line against a contender with a lot of skills in a lot of different departments, Kenny, and Joe Pyfer gets it done. The TKO comes at the 4:18 mark of round 2, and not without some adversity for Joe. He had to battle through some things. Certainly, Izzy realized some success on the feet, but at the end of the day, there is a new top-flight middleweight contender, and it is Joe Body Bags Pyfer.
Yeah, I thought it was a really impressive performance, especially given what you talked about, how he did have to battle back from some serious adversity. You know, I thought Israel Adesanya was doing a great job of utilizing variety, of keeping Joe on the outside, attacking with the leg kicks, but then he welcomed Joe into a world that, you know, was not his strength, and it was the strength of Joe Pyfer, and that was just trading power shots. Joe is the more powerful guy. We've seen him put a lot of guys to sleep with just one shot, and I think those shots were accruing. They were doing a lot of damage to Izzy, and I'm not totally certain that Adesanya's reaction time or speed is what it used to be. And Joe took full advantage of it, kept pressing forward, but on the ground is really where he took full advantage of Izzy's weakness. And I thought it was a very complete performance from Joe Pyfer. Very impressive.
Crazy to think about what a difference a year makes for Joe Pyfer, right? He was deathly ill a year ago in Mexico City, and that resulted in a delay of the Kelvin Gastelum fight. And he's just responded so well since that bit of UFC adversity, I guess. I mean, you can go back to the Contender Series, but the fight against Jack Hermanson, and he's really sort of rounded into form. And anyone who sort of was following how things were going during fight week understood that Joe was dealing with some mental things in advance of this fight, even a couple weeks before the fight, suggesting that he was having suicidal thoughts. So to come through, to lean into faith and spirit the way he has and produce a performance like this, with such a huge step up in competition, a tip of the cap to Joe Pyfer, who I mentioned is scheduled to join us here in a few minutes, but what a performance by him. And I do think he was able to have his power heard from on the feet. And I certainly think that while Adesanya realized some success and, maybe had the fight extended, who knows, I do feel like Pyfer's power was starting to really be heard from. And then obviously he got the fight where he has the decided advantage.
Yeah, he just started kind of trading with Pyfer, which I think was an odd decision. Izzy is so tough and perhaps, tried to make it a battle of wills a little bit too much. But as tough as Izzy is, and we've seen that toughness in the past many, many times, I feel, and I've said this before, it's an insurance policy. It's a thing you use just in case. It's not a thing where you just kind of break the glass just because and you start using this thing. You do it because you're in trouble. And I don't think he needed to use it at that point. That's where he needed to kind of regroup, put Pyfer on the outside and go back to what was making him successful. And that was variety and keeping him on the outside. He allowed Pyfer to get on the inside. He started trading shots. And showed a little bit too machismo, too much of that. And I think that's where Pyfer took full advantage and then ended up, taking him to the ground and really put a number on Izzy. But, it shows that Pyfer is way more complete as a fighter. I also think that if this happened a few years ago, John, I don't know if he would have responded in the same manner. From everything he said, like even his voice sounds more mature. Everything about Pyfer, he just seems like he has embraced his role and what he's supposed to do, and he's comfortable in it. And it's great to see.
They say God will give you what you can handle, maybe right up to the point where he breaks you, but won't give you more than you can handle. And certainly at times, I think Joe Pyfer, certainly in his formative years, dealt with so many different trials and tribulations and adversity, homeless at one point in time, and not having the parental structure that a lot of us take for granted. And to see him emergent through this and to beat a former undisputed UFC middleweight champion in Israel Adesanya, whom he called during fight week the greatest middleweight champion of all time, is just a tremendous, tremendous win. And we'll spend a lot of time over the course of the show living in Joe Pyfer's win and spinning it forward for him. How far does Kenny think he can take this thing? There are a lot of vaunted middleweight challenges that certainly await Joe Pyfer now that presumably he will reside in the top 5. All 3 judges gave Izzy round 1. And who knows how this fight would have played out had it gotten out of a round 2 or into the championship main event rounds, as it were. But I want to go back a few months to what I felt was just wayward Alexander Volkanovski retirement talk as it relates to Adesanya retirement talk here. So Volkanovski was never going to retire regardless of that result in the rematch with Diego Lopez, in part because there's plenty of fight left in the dog, right? And losing streaks aren't necessarily what retire elite fighters. So I found it wildly refreshing, Kenny, that Adesanya got on the microphone and immediately said, I'm not going anywhere. We'll table the Izzy stuff for a second because now joining us, and I don't know if the fight checks have come in yet, but there's more than one check coming his way, the bona fide middleweight contender representing the United States of America, Joe Pyfer. Good to see you, my man. How we doing this morning?
Nice to see you. I got a swollen face from just waking up.
My man. Well, we appreciate the time. And we were saying before you came on, it's crazy what a difference a year makes, right? When you think about how sick you were almost a year ago to the day today in Mexico City, and now you're on top of the fucking MMA world.
Yeah. I mean, it was not a good experience in Mexico, and I'll never go back there.
There was a time when I suggested that Izzy was the greatest middleweight of all time, and people came at me. And certainly it's hard to argue with what Anderson Silva had done, but I'm a modern era guy. And based upon what Izzy had done in the modern era and then getting the belt back a second time, I didn't think you were wrong to classify him in that way. Now you beat the guy. And all of a sudden your entire world opens up as an elite MMA fighter. I know you're still probably marinating in it and digesting the result, but what is it like to sort of be on the other side of what was a hugely challenging fight camp, mentally, physically, and otherwise, and now to have the biggest win of your MMA career?
You know, John, it's a weird feeling. Like, I was just laughing, and I told my girl, I was like, I beat one of the best in the world, and I was just laughing because of all the stupid stuff that I do and how I like joke around and just how I carry myself. But yeah, man, I the only way I can describe it is I've been like this the whole time, and in the middle, and I haven't been riding no high, I haven't been riding no low. I truly believe that my faith has done that for me, where like nothing's too big, or else it kind of gets you distracted, and nothing's, you know, too low that you can't climb back out of with prayer. So I really do feel the change. You know, I saw everything that everybody was saying, being concerned about not having the mean streak, this, that, and the other. But you know, I got to accomplish one of the biggest dreams of my life, which was to fight the top tier of the top tier and find out what kind of man I was. And when I was in there, whether people think I was tired or not, which I was not, I kind of settled in. That's just kind of my pace when I settle in. And I went to work until I finally got him out of there.
Yeah, Joe, you sound more grounded. You looked more grounded even during the fight. What were your expectations before the fight, or did you have any? And did you think it kind of went the way it was going to go?
To be honest, I had no idea how it was going to go. Other than I knew I was the better grappler. I knew I was the stronger guy. I knew I was the harder punching guy. But I knew Izzy was he's the smarter fighter overall, I would say. You know, he's a chess player. He's a point player. If he's gonna knock you out, he's gonna catch you with something clean. I will say though, I mean, I watched the fight back for the first time. He had me biting on that question mark kick, and I was like, oh,
Yeah.
just during the fight, you know, I knew he was gonna, like, I saw it, but it was kind of like a weird reaction for me where I was like, oh, are you really gonna throw it?
Right.
But yeah, no, it played out, I guess. How I'll say this, I drilled that exact thing. I'm going to probably post it at some point, where I was drilling with Nicky Rod. Nicky Rod's been a big part of my jiu-jitsu, along with my jiu-jitsu coach, Jonathan Webb, Jay Regulabuto, Smash Pass Jay. I go to my jiu-jitsu class. He's like one of the guys that helps develop the rules for like the UFC invitationals and all that stuff. So I've been around really high level jiu-jitsu guys, and but me and Nicky went over that exact back take sequence that, you know, we're just going to keep transferring. He's only got two exits, either turn to your back or turn to your stomach. Worst one being turn to your stomach, because if I can stick you there, obviously I was going to get the ground and pound. But yeah, no, to answer your question, Kenny, because I have a lot to say, I guess, is it went exactly how I thought it could go. But I kind of freed myself from a result and imagining how I could get the finish. Like when they would come there, I would let them happen in my head, like so I could, you know, envision it, I guess. But I kind of didn't hold on to one particular way that I was going to win.
And Joe, I'm really fascinated and really impressed with this spiritual awakening, this religious awakening, if you want to call it that. And when did this exactly kind of go down, and when did this change kind of start to emerge for you?
February 7th was when I went through my dark time. And yeah, I probably cried every day of my life, even up until today. I just feel so relieved and so thankful, and just the habits that I'm installing in my life. And yeah, I could have been a lost child, man. So, you know, I only say Christian because it identifies with my beliefs and everything, but I'm a believer first and foremost. Before you put any title to it, I'm a believer. And it's something you won't ever understand, man. I don't know either of you guys like that, but it's something you won't ever understand until you feel a presence that you can't see, that you can't hear, but you can feel. And I just felt called to change, and I was able to see myself and be disgusted and all these things, and just wanted to be a better human being. I don't want to talk. There's going to be guys that don't care about what I had to say. They might mock me for it. I took the hardest road that I could take with this change, because there's going to be people that come after me. Even before the fight, everybody's saying they don't know if I'm going to have this mean streak or whatever. And the guy's a little psycho, and that's what he relied on. And it's like, just wait and see.
Yeah.
Whatever God's plan was already written. And I just went out there and I accepted that. It can't, let me tell you guys this. I'm sorry I'm taking so long to answer this, but it was just such a special moment for me. I had absolutely no fear at all. And it tells you in the Bible over and over again, do not be afraid, for I am with you. Do not be afraid. Do not be afraid. And then one of my favorite verses as well is like when it says, whom shall I send? And I say, here am I, send me.
Yeah.
And I've always said that even before my faith, like, I'll always bet on me, because I was born a fighter. You didn't teach me. You didn't have to teach me how to fight. I know when I get in there, I'm going to bite down and I'm going to swing. And if you knock me out, you knock me out. It is what it is. Like, but his walkout was sick. The music was sick. The timing of it. The crowd was sick. They were loud, bro. It was literally his music was shaking the freaking canvas, bro, and my feet, and I just was like, nothing. And I was like, wow. Like, so afterwards, that's kind of what gets me like excited, is like, I have that kind of power that I don't care about people's aura. I didn't care. I really believed in my mind, and I believed it starting with the Abus fight, even though that was kind of a dookie fight. I was like 0-0, brother. Like, you're fighting a man of God now. Like, I got something deep, and but man,
it's a powerful thing.
What a beautiful weekend to fight somebody like Israel.
Unbelievable, man. I was getting chills during your walkout. I know we talk a lot about Izzy's walkouts. Yours was fantastic. And by the way, Joe Pyfer with us live on the Anik Florian Podcast. Face on the poster now. I know you have Izzy and Alex Pineda immortalized there behind you, but we'll have to move the Grant Dawson King Green poster and put the Adesanya v. Pyfer poster there. So it's interesting because I'm a fan first, right? And I'm a fan of yours. I find you widely entertaining on a microphone. I love the mean streak. I love the power. A lot of athletes talk about flipping the switch. And I think for those of us that know you, we were not put off by your warm embrace with Izzy. But certainly I think some fans saw that and were like, man, how's Joey Kid going to fucking flip the switch now? So what can you tell us about just your aggression as a fighter and how maybe you do or don't flip the switch once you actually get in there, especially with somebody you respect to such an extent?
I think I rewired my brain with my faith to change what I'm fighting for. And what I'm fighting for is to give the glory to God first and foremost, because he's the only one that can reward me with victory. And the only way that he's going to reward me with victory, if that's a possibility, is if I'm walking in the ways that he commands us to. And, I really felt like I've been doing that. I start every day. I pray 5, 6, 7, 8 times a day. It doesn't matter. However many is needed. But, I just feel like God granted me this because he knows I want to bring people to feel the same exact feeling that I felt, and it has nothing to do with control. Mine has to do with being a real man, being someone who loves their wife, who doesn't cheat, who doesn't, have these addictions and all kinds of stuff. And what it's done for me is restored me and made me, and the best thing about my faith is the forgiveness of it. There's nothing that there's a couple of things that you can't do and be forgiven for, but ultimately I'm forgiven, and then that gives me a great peace in my heart and my soul. And so I'm fighting for the glory of God, and I'm also fighting for my wife, soon to be, hopefully. My girlfriend of 6+ years that's been by me unconditionally, so those were the two things that I was really fighting for. And the way I envisioned it was, hey, you want to get that dream house one day, you want to have a farm, you want to have a bunch of animals, you want to be self-sufficient, you want to have financial security, it starts right here. And whether you feel like it or not, whether you're tired or not, whether your hydration went right or not, you're going to go out there, and until this man puts you out, if that's the case, you'll face that like a man. But if not, you're going to sit there and you're going to be in this man's face and break him. And that's just kind of how I was. But I wasn't like over emotional about it. It was just, I really just The only part that was a little emotional was my walkout song because that was special to me and my girlfriend. And I owned the moment, man. I loved it.
Yeah. What an incredible weekend for Joe Pyfer. We got a couple more minutes with you. So as you look forward to the Khamzat Chimaevs of the world and all the potential big fights that await, I guess inwardly, you and Dean Thomas and Jonathan Webb and everybody else now gets to continue to craft this piece of clay. And again, people don't understand just how well-versed you are. Kenny does, but maybe a lot of people don't understand just how well-rounded a guy you are and how much championship potential you have. But where is the area in which you see the biggest opportunity for growth as a mixed martial arts athlete?
I think it's just good. I mean, I think it's everywhere, to be honest. I think my jiu-jitsu game could get a little bit tighter, especially on the feet. Like, I have this thing where I want to just trade because if somebody's, well, that's where Izzy went wrong, is you can't trade with me. I mean, you could possibly definitely put me out.
You can do anything, and there's just repercussions.
Yeah. Look, I mean, I consider Izzy the GOAT, but look, he's lost too. You know, every dog has his day. I don't think anybody who's ever even left the sport undefeated wouldn't have gotten their day either. It's just a matter of when you get out. So, yeah, I think I can improve everywhere. I think I should. I have real fast hands, and I think people underestimate that. It's just the only time I get big and slow is when I'm sitting there and I'm just trying to explode your head with one shot. So I got to be a little bit more disciplined with that. The calf kicks hurt, but and I know I gave a reaction because he would hit them good, like where I was like kind of off balance, but like I wasn't immobilized. If you see the fight and you watch it back, I still was bouncing. It definitely hurt, but it wasn't something that was like crippling me like the Jack one did. Because I checked a few of them. It's very subtle, but like I checked the first one, and I know it hurt. It had to have hurt him because I don't know, maybe it did. He kept throwing it, but I was like, damn, bro, stop throwing it. Like, but yeah, I can improve everywhere, man. I can improve everywhere. I'm a sponge. I think that the coaches love that about me. You know, I think they also had some question marks in their head, if I'm being completely honest.
Yeah.
Until the shakeout, you know, and I told them, they were like, hey, look, this is what we're here to do. And I was like, guys, listen, like, I'm here to rumble. I'm not going nowhere.
Yeah.
Like, I'm fighting for something deeper than just some chip on my shoulder or anger about something from my past. I'm fighting for love. I'm fighting for glory. I'm fighting for all this, and I want to give it to the world. So I know that the whole stadium was against me, is what it felt like. But
yeah. Well, you turn them around, and as you continue to pursue and attain peace and happiness, it's going to dovetail beautifully with your fighting career. Before we let you go, right, there are a handful of top flight middleweights that are unbooked. What is your expectation as to what the UFC is going to do with you? Do you think it's going to be another main event? Do you think it's going to be a guy like Caio Borralho? What is your best guess as to when we might see you back and in what context?
Hey, I don't know. I don't like to play matchmaker after I just did something like I did. I know that's what I need to be doing, obviously. But I'll just say this, you know, I know there's a Philadelphia card coming up in August. I would love that. I definitely think I put myself in a position after beating one of the greatest of the world to be another main event. But hey, if you want to give me 3 rounds, that favors me. So let's get me headlining the August card of Philly, if that's true. Or let's hit something up in like September, October. You know, I have a lot of injuries right now, believe it or not, that I need to get checked. My hand is still pretty swollen, so I'm not sure, at least in comparison. I'm not pretty sure. I don't know if I broke something in it. And then I got to get something checked out. I just had surgery on this elbow, so I don't know if I don't know if I pulled a muscle in it. I've been struggling with it for the last 2 weeks. But, you know, I would say August, September, October, somewhere around there. I want to take a little bit of time, guys. I want to get better. And I don't like taking fights until I feel like I've gotten better. The one thing I could say I got better with this was obviously my mental approach. Like I wasn't bedridden with anxiety before, overthinking things and trying to control the result, just kind of was in the moment. That's what being in the moment is. So, but yeah, you know, me versus DDP, I think that would be cool. He was a great champion. I know he lost the belt, but he's a dog. He's a tough dude. He likes to bang. He likes to brawl. Me versus Kyle. I love Kyle. I talk to him a lot. It seems like
Yeah,
I keep fighting all the guys that I wind up having good relationships with. The only way I would fight Brendan Allen is if they said it was a number one contender, like I get a title shot if after we fight. But that one's there. I hope that's not the case, but Kyle or DDP probably makes sense. I think Imavov should wait. I think he's on a great win streak. I thought he should have been fighting Hamza. So I think he should wait. I think he's in a great position. But yeah, those are my thoughts.
Well, you maximize the showcase, my man. You put yourself in prime position. It is funny because a lot of these guys who you mentioned have either put you over or have a lot of respect for you and vice versa, whether it's Chiesa du Plessis or Kyle Bohalio. But hey, man, congratulations. You just took out the former undisputed two-time UFC middleweight champion, and we can't wait to see all the work you continue to do on yourself mentally, physically, and otherwise. And you're all class, man, for coming on and giving us a quarter of an hour today. Joe Pyfer, you're the fucking man. Enjoy the fruits. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, boys.
Congrats,
there he is. Philadelphia, Pennsylvania zone, Joe Pyfer. Be Joe Pyfer. And it is interesting because his fan base has built organically. It's built methodically, dating to Dana White's Contender Series. And I always say the best way to build your fan base is to knock motherfuckers clean out. That's how Sean O'Malley did it, right? Is to knock people out.
Yeah.
That's the best way to build your fan base. So even though maybe some of the faith is lost on certain people, it's certainly not lost on you nor me. He keeps knocking people out, doing it the right way, man. People are paying attention.
You got to finish fights. Yeah, no, that's the way to do it, man. 100%. And again, I think that so much of this game, so much of being a professional athlete is what kind of mental attitude you bring to it. It affects the way you train. It affects the way you perform under stress, under pressure. And I think this new Joe Pyfer is a major, major problem. He always had the physicality. He always had the talent. But now with this other element, I think he really is a guy that could win the belt. I do think he's that good. And, I thought it was a really complete performance from him.
Part of my job that I take seriously, I guess it's not part of my job, but oftentimes after a fighter loses a fight, I will slide into their DMs and try to provide some sort of encouragement. Now, I'm not saying this to sort of toot my own horn and have people be like, oh, man, that's really thoughtful. But as I was getting ready to book Joe Pyfer on the show today, I went back into our Instagram messages because that's how I contact him. And it's interesting for me to read what I wrote to him after he lost to Jack Hermanson or after he got sick in Mexico City and I happened to get sick as well. And, he's had some really dark moments and now he has a lot of light moments. And if you do subscribe to the theory that good things happen to good people, that's what's happening to Joe Pyfer right now.
I think that, for someone who had a tough upbringing and who has dealt with a lot of adversity and have had a lot of dark times, sometimes it takes one person, sometimes it takes multiple people to say, I believe in you. You could be the best at this or whatever it is. Having a good core group of people and having people you respect, like John Anik, sending a kind message or a positive message can do wonders for people. And I'm not saying that that's the only reason, right? I mean, there's a lot of people contributing to that, but that does make a huge difference, man. And sometimes, you need other people to believe in you more than you believe in yourself.
Yeah, well put. Thanks, everybody, joining us live here on the Anik Florian Podcast. Platinum Mike Perry scheduled to join us here coming up at the bottom of the hour, to be followed by Ray Longo. So before we get back to Israel Adesanya, I hadn't heard about the Philadelphia card. Oftentimes, I'm the last man to find out. I don't know if it's a numbered event or it's a fight night, but you got to think that Joe Pyfer is going to factor prominently in that equation. And seems like maybe Kyle Bohalio makes some sense, Kenny.
Oh, it's a great fight. I hope the timing works out for him. He obviously divulged that he does have some injuries he needs to heal up, but I hope the timing works out. I think that would be a fantastic fight between two guys that are at the top of their game right now, that are kind of peaking. And yeah, so much talent on both sides. But, with this new kind of mindset and him having the ability to fight in his hometown, what an opportunity that would be, man.
And you got to think he will be there May 9th in Newark, New Jersey, not far from where he lives, when Khamzat Chimaev makes the first defense of his title against Sean Strickland. So I felt pretty convicted that Israel Adesanya, win or lose, was not going to retire. And certainly I am a little bit maybe more on the inside than some of the speculists that are out there, right? But you can lose 4 fights and still not be ready to retire. And even though somebody with an astute mind like Kenny Florian would suggest to you today that maybe Adesanya isn't quite as fast or the footwork isn't necessarily there the way it was in his prime, it doesn't mean on any given Saturday night he can't compete with the top 5 to 7 middleweights in the world. So he's not just a prize fighter. He certainly has realized financial freedom. He's continuing for the love of the game, the love of the sport, and for legacy. I commend him on that, and I think there's a great chance that Israel Adesanya wins another UFC fight against high-level competition before all is said and done. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think everyone fights for different reasons, and you have to know what that is very, very clearly. I think that Izzy has done what very few fighters will ever achieve. And I think that if he still has a passion for this game, then yeah, he can stay in it. And for me, I think that he has slowed down a little bit, but he has to be fully aware of that, I think, and say, what do I need to do to change maybe my approach in fight, maybe in camp, to accommodate maybe these adjustments, and, you know, find that way. It is hard, though, when you're used to fighting a certain way to just change that overnight. And I think there was perhaps a mental lapse during this fight, or maybe he was hurt and maybe not really in it at the time. And you have to give credit, a whole lot of credit to Joe Pyfer for fighting the way that he did. But, you know, this is a critical time, though. Make no mistake about it. You know, 4, 5 fights in a row and 5 losses in a row is no joke. And, you know, he has to find out very clearly what he's fighting for, because as he said, he does not need to keep doing this. He does have financial freedom. And for me, you know, I want to remember Izzy as that guy who was at his peak. And,
right.
You know, so yeah, I hope that whatever he does, he makes the right choice and you know, finds that peace.
Right. You don't want 24-2 to become 24-8 when it comes to the MMA record. All right. Now with us on the guest line, one of the biggest names in all of combat sports, man. And I always thought he could be this. One of the biggest names in all of combat sports, the king of violence, 15-time UFC veteran, not white gold, platinum Mike Perry, rocking the young LA loud and proud. It's good to see you, champ. How we feeling?
John Anik, dog, the GOAT, commentator, GOAT. What up, Kenny? What up,
What's
boys?
up, man?
I'm good. I'm chilling,
Bro,
man.
So I don't even know where to begin with you. You got a major MMA contest coming up with Nate Diaz coming up May 16th on Netflix. We're very excited about that. But in a bare knuckle setting, man, like if you were trying to, with AI, create somebody who could beat you, man, like how is anybody going to beat you in that format?
No, it's going to be tough. You know, I'm coming back with the gains that I have in bare knuckle boxing. And, you know, my job is to go into the ring and let those hands go, throw my punches, get in gritty, close battles, and, you know, come out on top of those gritty matchups. Obviously, Nate Diaz is a crafty character, and he uses his mind and chooses, you know, who's gonna have the ring generalship, who's gonna decide when the fight is happening and when it's not happening, or are we just going in the middle and we're just gonna throw. So there's a lot of excitement in the ideas of this matchup, that we could be compared to the UFC White House card. Everyone is super excited about Platinum Mike Perry versus Nate Diaz, and I am as well. So, you know, I've been feeling really good that it's finally my time. MMA fighters throughout history have gone across platforms. That's what mixed martial arts is about. We have the skills in more than one genre, and putting it all back together, I get to come back with some of the vicious talents that I've always had.
It's a crazy fight, man. And just based on both of the ways that you guys fight, I don't see it, being boring at all. But does it change the way that you've approached training now? Obviously, this is your first mixed martial arts fight in a little while. I'm not sure he's going to be looking to take you down. I imagine it's probably going to be you guys trading on the feet. But does it change a lot of the way how you approach this one compared to the last couple of years?
No, I have to train smart and smooth, and get those moments of grit where me and my training partners are really going at each other, and in a professional manner. You have the tough rounds, and now it's 5x5. I'm fighting a championship level fight as far as 5 rounds of 5 minutes each, 25 minutes. Like, I'm really excited about that. I've been getting my sparring up to the 5 or 6 rounds or more, and I'm feeling like it's become time in my life. I've proven myself again and again in combat sports. I've taken over a whole nother movement with the bare knuckle fighting championships, and I've kind of gotten to become the face of that. And that's what I have to go in this fight and do. And my wife, she's one of my coaches. She's in the corner, and she's like, "You guys are throwing hands. His last fight was a boxing match, this and that." Yes, I'm going to stay. I like some of the clinch. I like some of the close-ups. I think he's going to grab me, and we're going to fight in the clinch. I don't see him necessarily shooting a takedown unless I'm devastating him with the hands. And, I got to watch out for guillotines, arm drags, things like that, of that nature. But the training remains the same. I just put in the work and get to go have fun May 16th.
I know you've talked a lot about Laturi and the spousal support that you have had. She was with you before you had gotten to whatever place of financial freedom you are at right now. So have you guys had sort of a moment to sort of enjoy the fruits and appreciate it, either in solitude, the two of you, or otherwise?
Little moments here and there. She definitely needs more. And there's gonna, I love how those things work out in, when it comes to business, and business has to respect my life status and relationship and things like that. And we try to mold those things together if we can. If I have a work trip, we'll bring the fam and make something out of it. There hasn't been as much time as we would like to really sit back and kick your feet up. We got work to do. So we're on a mission. I'm on a mission to really get that financial freedom so that we can do this when we're, I'll be 40 before her. So, if we're 40 and I can kick my feet up on the beach and have those Mai Tais, I'm finally ready.
So my son is 7. How old is Ocean right now?
Ocean's 5 now. He's catching up.
So he's starting to, I'd imagine, understand who the fuck his father really is, right? Like,
I don't know. That's a tough one. We ask him questions all the time. Do you want to box? Do you want to fight? I seen comments, people like, he's in the mix. I'm like, he could be. if there's a good amount of money in it for him, one day I'm sure he'll be after it. But for now, I don't think training is super, super necessary. Like, David Benavidez's son will probably beat up my son right now, and they're definitely the same, like, exact age.
Yeah.
But that's okay, because they're not going to get paid for that fight right now. when Ocean's 17, 18, and he has the emotions of his father, he will cry and claw some kid's eyes out if he has to. I think it's inside of him. So, hopefully I make enough money and then my kid can just be a computer whiz.
Yeah, there you go. Platinum Mike Perry with us live on the Anik Florian Podcast. So you're still a young man. You were born in 1991. You had a pretty extensive amateur career as an MMA fighter, if I'm not mistaken, but you're certainly rounding into form. I mean, I'd imagine you don't see the end as anywhere near in sight. You got all these different promotions looking for a piece of you. Like, how long can you continue to realize success at the highest level of combat?
Man, I was just talking to Yoel. You know, he goes over to Russia, fights Vagab in bare knuckle fighting. You know, in Russia under their rules against their guys, and he demands respect with his discipline and his knowledge at his age. And you know, you can just physically see it when you look at him. He's working. He's putting in the work to keep his body where it's at and always be able to perform. You know, that's a goal, to be 48 and look like that and still just kicking my body just through the roof. You know what I'm saying? So that's the goal. I just stay. It's a lifestyle as a martial artist, you know, to be the wushu master sensei when you're 50 and just like, you know, you got these disciples around you that need the information that you can teach them. Like I said, we could teach the next generation of UFC fighters how to do their job.
Yeah. So you got Dirty Boxing April 10th in Miami, and then it's back to Central Florida for a few weeks, and then I guess to the Intuit Dome in SoCal for Nate Diaz live on Netflix. Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah. Big talks.
Man, well, I look forward to seeing you at Dirty Boxing here shortly. I'm going to come say hello on Friday night. I know you'll be making the rounds. And then May 16th, right? Nate Diaz, Under the Lights, Intuit Dome. That is an absolutely amazing venue. If I were to say, given your promotional value in combat sports right now, will you ever be back in the octagon? Would you say never, or do you think that ship has sailed?
I would definitely say never say never. You know what I'm saying?
Go.
I've seen things, but I don't want to talk too soon. You know, I got to focus on the task at hand. I think I just demolished this, and I do my best. You see the best Platinum Perry back in the ring, back in the octagon, or sorry, it's a hexagon. We're fighting in a hexagon here for MVP. Going to see how all that works out. They do big promotion. They put on a heck of a show. Excited to put on for the fans and get back in MMA and showcase how, you know, what I could do when I go back.
Well, my man, I just got to say, deep congratulations on all your success. And I think you can tell, man, we're just super happy for you, man. You deserve it all. You've put in all the work, and we wish you all the best, of course, with DBX April 10th, and then May 16th, brother, we'll be watching.
Thank you so much, man. It's great to see you guys, and I look forward to returning to MMA. So enjoy the show.
My man.
Good luck, man.
Platinum Mike Perry live on Netflix May 16th against fellow combat sports legend Nate Diaz. And it is going to be interesting to see how all of that goes. Bro, I just don't know who would ever beat him with no padding on the knuckles, right? In a bare knuckle setting, bro, when you look at some of the guys on his resume, whether it's Luke Rockhold or Michael Venom Page or Jeremy Stevens or Eddie Alvarez, a lot of different stylistic challenges. And when you see Perry's mitts, bro, those fucking like, dude, best of luck finding somebody to beat him in those rules.
Platinum Mike Perry was built for that. Like, the dude's straight out of a movie, man. He's an absolute savage. So it's great to see him get this huge opportunity against a massive legend in Nate Diaz, and that fight is going to be bananas.
He is about a 2-1 favorite right now against Nate Diaz come May 16th. And yes, Dirty Boxing in Miami, April 10th, is on the eve of UFC 327. My twin brother, Jason Anik, is part of the broadcast team for DBX, so we will be there live to show our support. If Jay can get me a ticket, of course, I will be there on the eve of UFC 327. So we sort of keep getting away from this Israel Adesanya stuff. And I'm not going to sit here and go through the middleweight top 10 and ask you, hey, how do you think he'd fare in a rematch with Duplessis? How do you think he'd do against Kyle Bohalio? You know, would the Brendan Allen fight be competitive? But I think our thesis statement on both sides is that as long as there's desire, there's still enough skill. You just don't want to see him, you know, maybe not unlike an Anderson Silva, go from, 30-2 to 30-11.
Yeah, well, what happens in the fight game, right, is you get these stars, and those stars, once they kind of start dropping in perhaps their performance or consistency, they end up becoming, a jumping off point for a lot of the fighters who are up and coming. And as a fighter, you then have to kind of say, is this the role that I want to be in as a fighter? Right.
Yeah.
So if you're still enjoying it and you're still getting up for your fights and you're preparing really well and you're healthy, then absolutely, I think you should continue doing that. And like you said, John, I do think his skills that are a high enough level where he is elite. So, yeah.
All right, just getting going live, Anik Florian Podcast. We've been guest heavy. As such, we haven't even gotten into one of the greatest finishes in UFC history and all that encompassed just the 6th UFC live event in modern history to feature 6 finishes on the main card. One man who I trust was watching, Raymond Peter Longo. Let's get to him.
It's now time for the Ray Longo Minute.
I want you to punch a hole in his fucking chest. That's what I want.
The Ray Longo Minute. Starring Ray Longo. The John Anik and Kenny Florian Podcast.
Look at him! Look at the motherfucker! That's what I'm talking.
No. Geez.
Hey.
Let me tell you now, that was a card. No more bitching now.
So Kenny Florian is a quality over quantity guy in most aspects of his life, right? Doesn't send a lot of text messages, but he couldn't stop texting when Alexa Grasso did that, right? They call it a club and sub, but you don't always see it.
Not like that, man.
Like
Not
that, man. I mean,
let me tell you, that's the closest death in the octagon I think we've ever seen. That was bad. Kenny, come on. Why don't even know? I can't even process that. That girl was that. It's not even like it's the way she jumped on. Nobody jumps on a rear naked quicker than that girl.
I call it the double whammy. I call it the double whammy, right? She knocked her out, like basically put her unconscious and then jumped on a sub. Now, I did that with Clay Guida, but it was not as violent. It was not as dramatic. It was not as quick as how she did it. It was just so fluid. The way she did it was bad.
That was scary.
Man. Like she looked like an absolute gangster. And then the why it was so dramatic after it too was just like Maycee Barber was just in a completely different dimension, man. She went to the shadow realm and she was staring into another dimension at that, and she could not get up for a very, very long time. And Grasso just kind of calmly got up, was like, "Yeah, sorry, man." It was unbelievable.
Look, Grasso did the right thing. I think the ref did as good a job as he could have. He got in there as quick. It was fast. It was really freaking fast. Man, that was, and to be unconscious and have the blood or the choked out to your breath, dude, that can't be good. That cannot be good.
Yeah, Ray Longo, not a doctor, but he does play one here on the Anik Florian podcast. But no, you're not wrong.
I got to tell you, I don't even think a doctor could tell you what the fuck was going. No,
the doctor was just staring at her. He didn't know what to do. It's like,
Mike Beltran deserves a lot of credit, and this was, I think, his first time refereeing in a while because he had a bout with diverticulitis, and I think he had the surgery or whatever it was. But yes, I mean, thank goodness Beltran was all over it, because there are plenty of referees that would have been out of position or less instinctive, and that could have spelled even a worse fate for Maycee Barber.
Yeah. Oh, no, he got in there as quick. I don't think he could have did anything different, to be honest with you. It's how fast it was. And wow, that's some of the scariest shit I've ever seen. I've seen after the aftermath where people are just laying on the floor and they still think they're fighting and they can't. But the way that went down was pretty brutal. That was brutal. And I hope Maycee Barber's all right, man.
She seems to be handling things really well. She's been very public on social media because I think oftentimes athletes sort of cloak up, and I think actually just facing forward is probably going to be therapeutic for her. But man, Alexa Grasso, when you think about how she wrested the belt away from Valentina Shevchenko, whose face was half discolored, and Kenny, now this finish that Dana White called one of the greatest in UFC history. I mean, it's amazing how much, and again, she's realized a world title. She's defended it. She's made a lot of money, but bro, I mean, this is going to take her, right? She gets the bonus, right? She's going to get all this year-end hardware for this, right? Like, unbelievable. Alexa Grasso, all of a sudden, everything is opened up for her again.
Yep. I mean, I say this so many times, but again, one fight can change your whole trajectory of your career. And that's how you come back. That's how you come back and you remind everybody how badass you actually are. And, these are the dangerous fights for people like a Maycee Barber when you're going against a former champion or an elite fighter and they're kind of on a little bit of a down streak and you're like, I think I got them. This is maybe where they're at their lowest point. This is when they're most vulnerable. And you forget, no, they're still there. They're still in it. And I had a feeling, and what a performance from Grasso. I think it shows character. It shows development. And she's going to be a problem moving forward, man. She's still here.
Yeah, her boxing, her stand-up was point on for that fight. Yeah. I mean, it almost, look, I know we're probably going to talk about Adesanya too, but look, I like that Izzy. That guy went in there to fight. I think I give that guy a lot of credit. You know what I mean? I think he's a good dude and he understands fighting. But man, that Izzy was Teddy one time said, what a guy does at the end is always what he always wanted to do at the beginning. It wasn't really applying to this, but I think that's who Izzy always wanted to be. But as you're going up, sometimes you got to fight safe. You need that win to get to the next, thing. This is the Izzy and he was doing great. He took all those shots. I thought he was looking good. The Achilles heel was the wrestling.
Ray, I'm so glad that you just said that and sort of talked us into that talking point because Kenny and you and Izzy have a personal relationship. He's not emotionally attached to the losses and the wins.
Yeah.
And that's absolutely critical. And certainly it applies to a lot of kickboxers who maybe experience losses far more often than your average MMA fighter. But I think Ray's right. He was roundly criticized for that Jared Cannonier win at UFC 276, I believe it was in 2022. And he's mostly lost fights since then, and the only man that he's knocked out since then and not beaten on points, of course, was Alex Pereira, right? But yeah, I do believe in a lot of respects now that there's a freedom with which he is fighting, and it doesn't necessarily produce a win. But yeah, I really can lean into that, Ray.
I mean, that's what I believe, and again, hats off to him. I think we even saw that with GSP at the end of his career. And I think I had spoken to him about that 2 years ago. But, when GSP really started to open up, it is freedom. It's not about winning or losing. It's about expressing yourself. And I think George did it at the end. He was in some wars at the end, if you remember. He was planting down and fighting. And I think, once you get that monkey off your back and you've accomplished everything, you're in the history books forever. Izzy will go down as one of the greatest, if not the greatest, middleweight in the world besides Weidman, but you know what I mean? Like he's got nothing to prove. I tell you, I like that Izzy. That to me, John, you said the word freedom. That was freedom to me. He went in there, had a good time, and came up short. But
yeah, but here's how I see it. He was winning the fight, and then that freedom made him fight in a style that I don't think is actually his, where he fights at his best. And he took a lot of damage along the way. He took some huge shots from a guy that you don't want to trade with. And again, just like Joe said, you can make any decision out there as a fighter. There's just going to be repercussions for it. Yeah. And I think that was not the way that he was going to win that fight. If he did win that fight, I think he would have been throwing the dice. He did throw the dice. He got hurt. I don't think he was totally with it. Pyfer got an easy takedown after that, took full advantage. And yes, that's where he really lost the fight, was on the ground. But, he was doing a great job of using variety and keeping Pyfer on the outside. And when he decided to be entertaining and trade, that's where he let Pyfer right back in the fight.
Right. But again, John, he could have easily did a Yoel Romero with this. Calf kick, a move, calf kick, jab, move. The guy wouldn't have got near him, I don't think. But again, and again, it's, look, I could be completely wrong in this, but that's what I saw. I saw a guy that wanted to put on a show at any cost. Yeah. And again, I don't think he would have did this if it was 5 years ago, but it is what it is.
I think you both make a lot of good points. Yeah. He is undeniably free of championship pressure. And perhaps 100%. That is liberating and stylistically results in some changes. But given the landscape in the middleweight division right now, even if he had knocked Joe Pyfer clean out with a question mark kick in round one, he's not getting ahead of Sean Strickland May 9th. He's plausibly not getting ahead of Nassourdini Mavov, who beat him head to head. And, you know, that says nothing to some of the other guys like Brendan Allen. So yeah, very interesting stuff there. So anything else for us? I guess, Ray, I would like to get 30 seconds or so on Joe Pyfer, because this man
let's not
dealt
forget
with
that,
a lot. He joined us off the top of the show today, and I just really am happy for, I guess, his relative peace and happiness.
Yeah, I didn't lean into that, whatever they said. I hope he's all right. I know him, you know, he came up on the regional circuit. He's surrounded by a lot of good people. Man, that fight was almost like Weidman Silver in a way. It didn't have the implications, but it was a guy coming up, big, strong kid, you know what I mean, fighting a guy that's considered one of the best ever. And hats off to Pyfer. What a great win that is for him. And you know, now things get interesting, right? Because now he's in the top. What is he in the top 5, 6?
Yep.
Yeah, so I'm happy to see. We'll see where it goes, but I'm happy for Pyfer. I just hope he holds it together. Whatever I heard about the suicide thing, I hope he gets the right help. And man, you know, it's crazy when you think about that. It seems like you're on top of the world with everything, and still, you know, people don't get it, man. It's a really serious problem, and I hope he deals with it correctly. I mean, you know what's funny, Ken? Remember that comedian Richard Jenny? Like, he was with his girlfriend. He's having a great time. I'm just going to go to the bathroom. He went in the bathroom and killed himself. But it wasn't like he was having a bad time. But mentally, if shit gets in your head and you don't have the right, you know, defense mechanisms or the support team around you, I think things get ugly really quick. So I really only wish him the best. I know the people that manage him I'm very close with, and everybody. He's a really good dude who went through a lot as a kid, and I hope he gets through it.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like he's in a good place now. But Ray, what do you think about his potential? I know, you know, you've spoken highly of him. Do you think he's a guy that could be a champion in that very difficult middleweight division?
Yeah, I think, look, it's gonna eventually, look, he's got his wrestling, his jiu-jitsu, everything looked on point. He passed the guard nice. You know, I'm not saying he was getting resistance or whatever, but I think they brought in Nicky Rodriguez. So it looks like he's tightening some of his stuff up. I don't think you can get much better of a guy to bring in than that guy. I think he does, man. He hits. I'll tell you what, he's got lead in his hands. And I like a couple of those right hands he just snuck in there out of nowhere. You know what I mean? So I saw some really good
massive
stuff.
Middleweight too, man. God.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I thought Izzy was going to be a lot taller. He's bigger than I thought. They matched up. They matched up a little differently when I got out there. I thought the size was going to be a little more in Izzy's advantage, and I don't even think it was an advantage. So I think he could do whatever he wants to do. How's that? I think if he wants it, and he stays on track, and he gets his head focused and clears up all that other shit, there's no stopping him. He's got the tools. No,
and in many respects, there are going to be easier stylistic matchups for him than Israel fucking Adesanya kicking the shit out of your goddamn calves. And even though Pyfer, in talking about the calf kicks earlier, said that he was able to fight through them, I think part of the issue is, and Bilal Muhammad and others suggest it's a toughness equation, but sometimes if that one completely changes the complexion of the fight, that's the issue. So you are playing with fire when it comes to that.
Without a doubt.
That if that one, right? So, Ray, did you see the featured prelim between Tafik Musayev and Ignacio Bahamondes that painted blood all over the canvas? Did you see that fight?
I'm going to stay, John. I saw every fight. I was happy that the UFC got back on track.
Yeah,
this is what I expect every week.
Great fights,
great fight.
So there's a few different angles through which to attack this, Kenny. I guess you can start us off here. There were fouls for a fence grab and a headbutt that went completely unacknowledged, and again, just inconsistency in officiating rearing its head here. This was not one of the big name referees necessarily, but this would seem to be as easy a case for some sort of appellate intervention as any.
100%. They were egregious too. Like, the headbutt was blatant. It was clear. There was no like elbow behind it or punch behind it. It was just a friggin', early UFC headbutt right to the dome. And that's not cool. And that affected the fight, right? I mean, the cut, the blood in the eyes, I've been there. When you're on your back and you got blood in your eyes, it's like someone just puts a red sheet over your eyes, and you can't really do much. It gets slippery, of course, and just gets worse and worse. The taste isn't great either. But it was unfortunate. And then Bahamondes is in a great position to hit a suplex, and Moussaiev is holding the cage just as clear as day. No foul, no talk. Like, it was one of those things where as a fighter, you're in there and you're like, this is not my day. Everything is kind of going against him. And now I don't think Bahamondes did himself a whole lot of favors, some of the decision-making he was doing out there, but just those two things could have changed the fight completely, right? So it was unfortunate. And for those, maybe the referees or the officials that are kind of watching the tape, maybe they should have seen it a little clearer, mentioned something. I don't know. And I don't know if they have any power in doing that, because I think the referee in cage has to see something or think he sees something. But yeah, it was a lot of things went wrong for Bahamondes that night,
Yeah, it's a shame. And I'll tell you, I think the worst part of this story for me, first off, the ref was completely out of position. That might not have been his fault, but he was on the opposite side. I don't think he could see anything.
Yeah, not the best angle because the cage
not
was
the
right
best
there,
angle
but
for that.
still,
Yeah. But what the worst part to me is file a complaint, and what's the athletic commission going to do about that? Want me to tell you? Yeah, there you go. Absolutely fucking nothing. What purpose do you fucking serve? You can't overturn a decision. I mean, there's blatant stuff going on.
Yeah.
That to me is part. Look, the ref's out of position. He doesn't see it. But then the fighter knows it. So file a complaint.
Yeah. Well, no, you're right that oftentimes those are fruitless. But I think in this case, it might actually bear fruit.
But why should it be fruitless, John?
No, I'm not suggesting it should be.
No, I know. I'm not saying. I'm not attacking you. I'm just saying, but why? It's blatant.
Right. Right. Well, that's why in this particular case, right?
Yeah, I mean, show me something.
Right. Yeah.
Show me you could do your fucking job. How's that? Yeah. Do your fucking job and analyze the tape and then tell us what you think, because that'll be real interesting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I'm not sure that there is a fighter as roundly respected and appreciated by his peers as Michael Chiesa. And there was such an outpouring of love for this man. And I have a relationship with his mom from the Ultimate Fighter Live back in 2012. And I was able to send her a message after the win. And it's really been amazing to watch him go about this mixed martial arts career when he lost his father during filming of the Ultimate Fighter Live back in 2012.
Absolutely brutal.
Immediately tied him to this fan base. And he's just been dripping with class every step of the way. And so to see a guy like that in his damn hometown get like the actual perfect send-off, Kenny, just incredible.
It was perfect. And Chiesa deserves all of it because he's one of those guys that never, compromised his values or anything like that. He was never disrespectful towards people. He did everything the right way and as a professional through and through. And it was great to see him go out like that. Now, it's not always like that, right? Not every fighter says goodbye on a win or in their hometown or in that manner. And that's about as perfect as it gets for Chiesa. And it was great to see him go out like that. He's always been a really cool, down-to-earth guy, humble guy, hardworking dude. And, one of those guys who really had to kind of work for it. He wasn't blessed with a ton of, crazy physicality and talent and all that stuff. He worked for everything he got in the sport. And, that was an awesome performance for him. And I'm very happy for him.
Yeah, I mean, he's a guy, John, I liked from the first second I talked to him. I knew I would be, friends with that guy for forever. He's just a good dude, beautiful wife, met his mom back in that McGregor incident, I believe, and just nice people. Yeah. I like when nice things happen to nice people, and that's a perfect example of it. And again, an example of a guy that never became champion and had a great career, and he's going to go on to do great things in the broadcast stuff. And it's a feel-good story. It really is. And the adversity he had to go through, I think everybody knows what pain that could be like. And just hats off to that guy. He's like, again, a class act since the second I met him.
I know a lot of people were talking about Nico Price not getting a microphone. Has Nico retired? I was getting a lot of mentions on this on social media, and I was trying to remind fans that I was not actually there because they were saying that Anik screwed Nico Price. I was like, I'm with my fucking son, actually. But yeah, I don't know if Nico maybe, I'm like, I'm actually, drinking Hendrick's gin, not watching Chiesa live. I'm with my son. But no, I don't know if Nico Price, maybe some fans were suggesting he stuck around and was hoping to maybe get an interview. I don't know, but I know a retirement package obviously was built for Michael Chiesa. But yes, we do, at least here, want to acknowledge Nico Price, his contributions to the sport. And I've really enjoyed getting to know Nico Price and always giving him a hard time about
another nice guy,
or whatever it is, By the way, Throne Sport Coffee coming to Longo's Gym. Each can has 150 milligrams of natural caffeine, natural sweeteners, and 100% of your daily B vitamins. The lattes also pack 10 grams of protein. Cold brews are low sugar, a lot of dairy-free options as well. I'm trying the premium charge cold brew vanilla bean today, which is dairy-free for my lactose tolerance issues. Throne Sport Coffee, also NSF certified for sport. You can get it online at Amazon, Walmart, and their website directly. Sportcoffee.com, Throne Sport Coffee. Get going. Keep going. You can get this at Casey's. You can get it at Quick Trip, Whole Foods as well, Raymond.
There he goes.
But for you, as soon as I can get a free minute, I'm going to bring you 8 fucking cases to your gym.
What if I send somebody up to your house?
That's fine. Send somebody to my house to pick up the coffee. That's fine. Cody sent me an email, right? I didn't intend to go down this direction. Let's go 4 wide and welcome on Jason Anik for this conversation. It's actually a perfect segue because he manages this entire business.
The sane Anik brother has joined us. Thank you, Jason.
Dude, so I'm like, as soon as Ray got on the screen, he was like, there it is, the UFC. How about that fucking fight card, everybody? And I said that on one of my shows earlier, like all these fans, right? All this other hype around, like the UFC, yes, slow playing 2026, but like when we all see that blood, like we love it. And that finish, one of the greatest finishes ever. But like Nico Price, let me just back up there for a second. 21 fights in the
Jason,
UFC.
Wait, hold on, Jason, slow down. You're not going to take John's job, but you're doing a great job. I hate to interrupt you, but keep going. Sorry about that.
Well, I'm trying to learn.
This is like an interview, I feel.
But like Nico Price, and with the utmost respect to the promotion and everyone running, like 21 fights in the UFC, fought a murderer's row, like his whole career. I think he lost 6 of 7, 4 straight, but like, he said he was retiring, comes out to I'm coming home, right? Takes the gloves off, lingers in the octagon. It wasn't like coming out of nowhere. And like one little moment would have been good for a guy who's made a lot of moments, maybe more for his opponent than himself over his career.
Yeah. Anyway. Perhaps some.
This motherfucker.
Anyway,
perhaps. So, what are you looking at your notes?
No, I mean, I know. Again, I wasn't there, so I don't know if they knew that Nico was retiring. Anyway, that's probably neither here nor there. But anyway, so Cody sent me. He just wiped us out. Cody sent me an estimate of this like broadcast kit to set up at Longo's Gym, like everything we would need, a fucking soundboard, the microphones, everything else. And I'm thinking, am I going to pay for this for Longo's MMA so I can show up there and haze these people once a month? It's less than 2 G's, Ray. I just haven't,
less than 2 G's. That's nothing to you.
Yeah, I'm just, well, it's not, it's not my fucking gym.
That's
so
like me giving you 20 cents.
All right, I'll pay for the fucking studio.
Have Chicken Pound pay for it. Have the Chicken Pound pay for it.
Can the Chicken Pound pay for anything?
For Pete's sake.
I mean, you have said the Chicken Pound was going to sponsor the Ray Longo Minute, and they've done nothing of the sort.
Oh, I got it. I forgot. I have to find a sponsor.
But in all seriousness,
we're getting that done.
I got 8 cases of Throne Sport Coffee, and as soon as you have a reasonable broadcast setup, I know Steve Lee is like the greatest manager in MMA gym history, but like maybe he could help facilitate some of this.
I think he's got all the equipment. You got to check with Cody.
Let's go, Steve.
Yeah, we had somebody bring down equipment. So.
Hey, John, why don't you just run point on the whole operation, right?
Right.
Everybody can email and text you.
Just
run
email
that whole
me,
thing.
Ray. I got nothing else going on. You know,
Hey, Alexa Grasso or something else. Go
I
ahead.
want to ask you guys about blood in mixed martial arts, right? Because Kenny Florian, who 3 times challenged for UFC gold, has been involved in a lot of bloody fights in his day. His fight against Sean Shirk, one of the bloodiest in UFC history. Kenny was tasting blood for weeks upon weeks, and I think it's still actually in the tentacles of his eyes, right?
Yeah.
He also bludgeoned and bloodied Clay Guida. Now, my twin brother, Jason Ray, who is here, and I'm going to lead with Raymond on this, absolutely loves the blood in MMA. There are certain people who need to turn away. There are other people who can't deal with the broken bones.
Yeah.
Most of the responses I got to this question about blood in MMA said it's much easier for me to look at a blood-soaked canvas than to have seen that Maycee Barber replay several times over. So, Ray, when you see the canvas get painted with blood early, and that's the visual for the rest of the night, overall, how do you feel about spilt blood in MMA?
Not really indifferent. I don't know, part of the game, but it doesn't. You know,
You're not phased at all.
I'd rather look at the blood than the Maycee Barber thing. You could put
Right.
me in that category. You know, I think it's part of. I don't know. I see it in the gym. I see it all over the place. So
Kenny,
I think
what do you
maybe
think?
you just get used to it. It's nothing new.
Yeah, I guess, you know, heading in there, it's kind of nasty. Like if I'm not fighting, if I'm not in that mindset, I think it's gross. I saw that huge patch of blood taking up, one corner of the octagon. I'm like, damn, dude, like that's a lot of staff right there. But when you're in there, when you're in it, you're just like, all right, well, I'm here. There's nothing I could do. I remember after that Shirk fight, I took 2 showers. I took one backstage, after the fight, and I took another one when I got back to the hotel because that's how much blood I had, like in my hair, caked. I had like dreads of blood in my hair. The next morning, I woke up. I had blood in my eyelids. I had blood in my ears. I went to scratch my ear, and blood was still there. I'm like, this is disgusting. I have another man's blood. Like this, this could be bad. But yeah, man, it's crazy. But it's a part of the sport. I don't like the dislocated or broken bones. Like I don't like looking at that. Chris's leg, what was Silva's leg. I don't want to see.
Yeah.
I'll see it once because I'm seeing it live, and I don't want to see that again. It's nasty.
See, Kenny's a fighter, Ray's a coach, so we're John, but we're more fans. Like I love it all. The fucking like hematomas, like give me all of that, like the dislocated limbs. And Ignacio Balmontes, it was his blood. He's a friend of mine, somewhat of a close friend of mine, right? Interestingly enough, I always say I live in a fight home. I have daughters age 9 and 12. Fights are on. I turn it on for Nacho's fight, and I have to be like, girls, all right, that one maybe girls, you go do your dance in the other room. Go ahead, John.
Yes, exactly. So that's actually why I brought this question to social media, was because I was watching the Nacho fight with my kids, and my son couldn't turn away, fascinated by all the redness, and my daughter Riley left the room. One comment here, Jay, at Screenplay, I don't like it, but I know it will sometimes happen. I was way more concerned with the amount of times viewers were shown an unconscious Maycee Barber, not focusing, not being present. There are a lot of people also who talk about that there is a cleaning agent that you could use. Don't you think that if the UFC could get all of that blood out of there in an instant that they would, or no?
Well, I think at one point, DC on the broadcast or someone said, like, imagine being someone coming into the fights a little bit late and you see this red canvas. It's absolutely incredible. I really like all of it. It's part of the drama of the sport. It's part of what these fighters risk going in there. But what I'll tell you about the Nacho fight that was really interesting is like I'm screaming at my TV. I didn't see the fence grab. I wanted Nacho to keep this thing on the feet, the whole time. So I'm screaming at the TV, and then the blood came. So it was a really unique moment in the home. But John, give me all the blood, even though it was Nacho's too.
Yeah, John, I'll tell you, years ago when I would take my fighters to my partner Lou Neglia's place in Brooklyn, he had a ring with a white canvas just full of blood. It was like character. Like you if a guy really wants to fight, you got to go into those dirty, not that his was dirty, but the boxing gyms were brutal. They were dirty as hell. And that you almost tested if your guy really had the stomach to fight just by getting him in there. at a long time ago anyway. But.
Rub your scrapes and your cuts in there and make you stronger.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Come on.
Yeah.
I mean, I got fans saying, "Yep, John Anik's a pussy for even asking this question," and that's fine.
That's definitely true. That could be true as well.
That is, yeah. No, I mean, I definitely have some tendencies that would probably classify me as
man,
as a pussy. Ray, would you rather answer a few more questions or go to the gym?
Now, I got to get out of here, but let me just say a couple of things before I go. First off, hats off to Demetrious Johnson. That was awesome what the UFC did. I don't want that to go. I think that guy's by far the best that put everything together.
Yep.
And even a while ago, and he goes back a little bit, and we don't even see that today as much, but hats off to Demetrious Johnson. I thought the UFC knocked it out of the park. They did the right thing. It was great to see. Adrian Yanez, total fucking screwing.
Oh man.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, why would you do that to that kid, man? What a beautiful fight he fought. Like, he fought a really intelligent, smart fight after being out for a while. I just that shit just drives me fucking crazy that these guys have no idea. I mean, there's hometown's decision, there's hometown decisions, and there's that, but I don't know.
Ricky Simone, I thought, almost got saved by the bell horn, which you're not supposed to be able to be saved by. He was able to get his wits about him. I was thinking about Ricky Simone and Merab Dvalishvili back in the day.
Wow, without a doubt, that guy's been gifted 2 victories or ties or whatever. He got lucky. But anyway, I've hats off to Adrian. Hang in there. I think he's a great fighter. It was great to see him get back on track. Unfortunately, he's got to put up with this bullshit now. But hopefully he gets through it. And last but not least, before I go, everybody watch Pumi's fight. Pumi Nakuda, another outstanding performance. Go to Uriah Hall's A1 Combat. Watch that fight.
When is that fight?
Uriah Faber?
Yeah, that was Friday night.
Oh, it just happened this past Friday.
Yeah, really. Congrats to him. Another victory.
What happened?
The kid's got 5 belts.
What happened on Friday night? So he won the A1 belt?
Yeah.
How did he win? Decision? Finish?
He did win by decision, but he was going for it. He did knock him down a couple.
No,
of
I'm just hey, usually I'm on top of my stuff. I'm not. I'm sitting here looking at Ray. Would you rather have 5 bee stings at once or 25 mosquito bites at once? And I didn't even know that Pumi fought. So I'm sorry.
Holy shit.
I love Pumi. I'm president of the goddamn fan club, and I didn't even know he fought.
5 belts. 5.
Yeah.
5 belts.
I guarantee you on the 11th belt, he'll get into the UFC.
Hey, guys, I got to run. I got to get out of here, but I love you guys. Jason, love the hairdo. Can you keep your brother in check, please?
Nope.
Is that possible?
Been trying. Impossible. Much love, Raymond.
Take it easy,
See you,
guys.
Ray.
I'll talk to you.
Ray Longo Minute every week here on the Anik Florian Podcast. We pushed Ray back a few minutes for Platinum Mike Perry. So, he touched on a few different things. Quickly, I guess, if we could just spend a minute here. We had Demetrious Johnson on the Anik Florian Podcast a few weeks ago. George St. Pierre and Demetrious Johnson, I think, are the only 2 names that are on every unanimous MMA Mount Rushmore, Kenny. Some people don't include John Jones and Anderson Silva because of some extracurricular transgressions, right? But DJ, man, right? For a lot of people, this is the greatest MMA fighter of all time, and there's certainly a case to be made, and he's going into the UFC Hall of Fame this summer.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant mixed martial artist who was able to do it all and do it all at an extremely high level. And when he was at his best, there was no competition for him. He was just that good. So, and I think that, if you were a smart mixed martial artist coming up, that was the guy that you were studying to learn from, of how to put it all together. He was constantly in search of getting better. And one of the greatest mixed martial artists that I have ever seen. And it was great to see him get inducted, man. Absolutely deserved. And to see that big smile on his face and him there with his beautiful family was super, super cool, man.
Jay, one of the best things to happen to the UFC in 2026 has been the $25,000 finish bonus. So at least for fighters like Casey O'Neill and Terrence McKinney, maybe you're not sitting in the back hoping that a bunch of decisions follow your fight. And every fight on the main card was obviously a finish, right? Terrence McKinney in 24 seconds Casey O'Neill, huge win in 3 minutes and 11 seconds, but the $100,000 bonuses go to Joe Pyfer and Alexa Grasso. Your boy Nacho gets a $100,000 bonus. Perhaps that softens the blow a little bit, as his faith does.
You know what, though? It's interesting because I talked a lot about this earlier on a show about Ignacio Bahamondes, John, and not in the context of your sort of statement about it's a 2-year setback if you lose and a championship opportunity is there, because Nacho wasn't there, but he loses to Fiziev back in July. And now he loses here, regardless of circumstance, fence grab, whatever it is. So now it's back-to-back losses for Nacho, for a guy in Bilal Muhammad's camp. You know, Bilal sort of his mentor, that he wants to sort of, you know, on a championship trajectory, perhaps, or championship track, trying to do that at 155 with back-to-back losses. How many fights does he have to win now to win? We have 5 straight fights to sniff a championship, whatever that means. So now a guy who's on the cusp of the rankings or whatever it is takes a fight against Fiziev in Fiziev's backyard. Fiziev was fucking ready that night, right? And now this result as a minus 300 favorite or whatever it is, it's a really tough result, regardless of the $100,000 in the bank for his second kid who just arrived.
Yeah, Kenny, that's really an interesting point, right? That when you think about, he got the absolute best of Rafael Fiziev in Azerbaijan, and maybe he doesn't beat Fiziev more than once or twice out of 10 times, but a very challenging stylistic matchup for Nacho. And then this, right? It might take him 5 wins just to get back to the top 15.
Yeah, man, this division is absolutely insane. And, you know, timing is everything. Fighting the guys at the right time or the wrong time, you know, is a difficult thing in this sport, and it can change a lot of things. So yeah, unfortunate result there for Ignacio. And again, I just keep going back to those damn fouls during the fight, but he'll be back. He'll be back. Yeah.
John, and I just have to say, I watch most of the show, but Alexa fucking Grasso. Like, I just have to say, right? And I said earlier on a program, I was like, interestingly enough, in her career, I feel like at certain times she's been slightly overrated and at times been massively underrated. You know what I mean? In a weird way. And like the 3 fights with Shevchenko, it's just been sort of an interesting career, but the ferocity with which she finished that fight, you know, as an underdog, right back in the championship mix, as I see her sitting next and doing in the broadcasting booth, like, bow to Grasso. I mean, like, I'm just blown away at that performance.
Yeah, no,
ninja shit. Ninja shit. That's what that was.
Alexa Grasso. And yeah, I mean, back in a big way doesn't even begin to describe it. And not as though her legacy, Jay, needed validation, but look who she just beat as an underdog. Maycee Barber won 7 consecutive fights, and to beat her like that, my word. Thanks everybody with us live for the Anik Florian Podcast here, powered by All the Smoke Fight. We do have to spin things forward to that end. DraftKings Sportsbook, the #1 sportsbook for live betting, is built for the month of March, not just for the UFC, but the tournament, which you know is unexpected. It is down to its last 4. The rewards are guaranteed. DraftKings Sportsbook delivering the most generous rewards in the market, actually. And with DraftKings, you're not betting what might happen. You're betting what's happening. Perhaps you were on UConn live yesterday when they were down 19. If you are new to DraftKings, not to worry. How about this? You bet just $5. You get $200 in bonus bets instantly. All you need to do, download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code AFPOD. That's code AFPOD to turn $5 into $200 in bonus bets instantly in partnership with DraftKings. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or 1-800-MY-RESET. New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. Connecticut, call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino in Kansas, wager tax pass-through may apply in Illinois, 21 plus in most states. Void in Ontario, restrictions apply. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos. Limited time offer. All right. UFC Fight Night, Moicano versus Duncan Beckins this weekend. Kenny, the first pick of 3 on the main card is at bantamweight. And I'm having a hard time pronouncing, not Ethan Ewing, but Rafael Esteban or Esteban or Esteban or Esteban. So I don't know, guys, if it's B's or B's or N's or M's. I have the file for you. But it's Ethan Ewing minus 148, and the Brazilian Rafael Esteban is plus 124. Cody, you can trigger that file at any time.
My name is Rafael Macapá Esteban. My name is Rafael Macapá Esteban.
Esteban.
Okay.
All right. Okay.
So this would be a situation where I would voice that feature for the UFC and then almost follow it up with like, hey, these are my phonetics, just so you know, because I've listened to the file 100 times. Anyway, Ethan Ewing's minus 148 and the opponent is plus 124. Part of the reason we're picking this fight is because we're wildly curious to see exactly what Ethan Ewing is. I mean, he started his pro career 0-2. He's won 9 in a row, steps up on the shortest of notice to beat Malcolm Wellmaker at Madison Square Garden, Kenny. He's less than minus 150 this weekend. Your thoughts?
See, I'm still disturbed by the spelling of Ethan. I don't like it. I don't like that spelling. But no, this kid can fight, man. He really can fight. He looks like he's older, but he's only 28 years old. But has a bunch of finishes out of those 9 wins. And the way he puts it all together, we were just talking about Demetrious Johnson and how he puts it all together. Ethan Ewing knows how to do that as well. I think he's a sophisticated striker, really knows how to make you miss. And then he counters with not just one shot, 2, 3, 4 strikes are coming at you right after that. And the way that he beat Wellmaker, I think, is what makes it so impressive. He is a sophisticated striker. He is an intelligent fighter. And I think that he's got to be careful on the ground with Esteban, but because Esteban's so good at taking the back, he puts that body lock, knows how to control and beat you up from that position and slows you down. So for me, I think it comes down to Ewing stopping the takedowns, keeping him at a distance, and continuing to fire away with those combinations and take away the confidence early of the Brazilian fighter. But I like Ethan in this spot, man. I think he's a fantastic fighter and maybe doesn't have the same kind of record as this very good fighter from Novo União, but I like Ewing.
Jay, I can see the headline on MMA Junking. Kenny Florian says Ethan Ewing has an old face. Right? I mean, that's basically what you're saying, that he's got an old face, right? That he doesn't look 28.
It's like Esteban with that M at the end. It feels like people that say Valentine's Day with an M instead of an N. It's like every time Kenny says it, I'm like, are you supposed to say Esteban? Is Kenny mispronouncing this guy's name? Hey, I never like betting against a guy who's undefeated, but it'll be interesting to see if this is one of the bets when Kenny does place your bets, because I have a feeling it won't be.
Yeah, Esteban is 14-0, 3-0 in the UFC, but if Tapology is accurate, he did miss weight in 2 of those 3 UFC wins. All right, co-main event at strawweight, 7th ranked Tabitha Ricci. Baby Shark, minus 115. Number 3, Vina Kakara Janji Doba, minus 105. Ricci's won 3 of 4. Ken Flo enters this spot following the biggest win of her career, stoppage of Amanda Hebos last July in Abu Dhabi. Now taking on the recent world title challenger, Kakara Vina Janji Doba. Ken Flo, go ahead.
This was a tricky one for me, and I felt like it got more confusing when I went back and watched their fights. I'm like, who the hell is going to win this fight? Janji Doba, I think, is probably the better grappler overall. I think where she may struggle, however, is with her takedown game. Ricci has, a lot of momentum going her way right now. I think she's gaining confidence as a result. I think she's certainly going to be the better striker, the sharper striker. She just can't let the pressure of Janji Doba get to her, because Janji Doba is going to try to back her up, try to bully her, make the fight, a close one, try to get up against the cage, all that stuff, and make it ugly. But Ricci's good on the ground as well. I don't know if she's as good as Janji Doba, but I do like her overall here. I think that, this momentum has served her well. I think that she's going to be the faster, better striker. But I think it all comes down to how good her wrestling defense is. If it holds up, I like her in this spot to win by decision.
Jay, someone in the comments said you look like former Massachusetts Governor John Kerry. And I can't come back from that now.
I know. It's the funniest shit ever because my hair's a little long and I have a shaved face and I'm almost fucking 50. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
The John Kerry thing. For those of you that don't know, and Cody, you could chase a fucking image, right? Lazy Bet MMA. That's fucking hilarious. And I just don't even know what to say. It's like I'm kind of offended, but it's kind of a compliment.
Right. I'm offended as your twin brother. I'm going to go follow Lazy Bet MMA as you should, but
hey, I will.
Massachusetts Governor John Kerry. But yeah, Jay, you need to go see Barber to the stars, Gianni, like yesterday, huh?
Well, we got a busy week next week with the PGF playoff and fucking dirty boxing.
Well, there are hats.
We tried to
theme.
I could get it going a little,
bro.
Hey.
No, I'm talking. The theme for our bar mitzvah, our B'nai mitzvah, the theme, right? Like you have a theme was hats. You just got to put a hat on.
I could put this fucking Drake May helmet on that you gave me.
I'd like you to maybe for the rest of the show.
I will put $1,000 at play and place your bets, but quickly on this co-main event, because that happens to be part of what I'll get into later. I like the younger fighter, sort of someone who I believe is on their way up the mountain versus someone who I think is on the other side. And anyone who would listen, I don't bet MMA, but anyone who would listen to me last week in Vegas for PGF, I said, I'm looking at Joe Pyfer plus money here. Look, Israel very well could have won the fight with leg kick, maybe keep kicking the leg, but I love Ricci, the spot coming off that knockout against Amanda Hebas last time out. Genji Doba had the opportunity last time out, but lost to Mackenzie Dern. 37 years old versus 31. Ricci sort of been with Callum Walsh for a long time, who's very much embedded in this whole UFC world. I just think Tabitha, it's the right time for her, and a pick'em fight. I like her quite a bit. Couldn't find a prop by decision. Kenny, I hear you there. I would think Genji Doba would need to submit Ricci, and I don't see that happen.
Yeah, Jay, you were certainly on Joe Pyfer. He wouldn't leave me alone on Saturday, right? I'm writing back I just think Izzy sort of back up against the proverbial wall. I expect his best. I love Pyfer too. I don't know what to tell you. And Jay's just like, Pyfer plus money, dude. What am I missing? Anyway, let us get to the main event at lightweight. Pits two American top team fighters against one another. Chris Duncan minus 192. 10th ranked Renato Moicano is plus 160. Kenny Moicano gets the red corner. He has dropped 2 in a row since the 4-fight surge. Short notice title fight against Islam Makhachev. More recently, the loss to Beneil Dariush. Now he draws the streaking Scot Chris Duncan, who has his own 4-fight winning streak in tow. Who do you love in the main event, Ken Flo?
Yeah, two teammates going at it. Both very good grapplers. I think that Moicano has faced the tougher competition. No question about that. As you go back and watch their fights, has some really good wins. I think that where he may suffer in this fight is with the athleticism of Duncan. I think Duncan's the better athlete. And I think that matters because I think Moicano's best chance at winning this fight, although he's got some power, is on the ground. If he's able to take Duncan down. And I think he can do that. And I think he'll be a major problem. We saw what he did against Benoit Saint-Denis when he gets on top. I mean, he's a very good grappler. I just think against Duncan, taking him down, keeping the position there, I think is going to be tough. I think he's going to be slower than Duncan, which can pose some problems for him. So I like Duncan here.
Yeah.
And this guy has proven his toughness time and time again. I don't think he wants to brawl too much with someone like Moicano, but if he needs to, I like his chances there as well.
All right. Jay, do you have anything on the main event, or can I get to place your bets?
No, let's move it on.
I guess you're probably going to place a bet.
Well, I like my guy Money Moicano, so a little bias there. Go ahead.
You are biased. That's why I didn't tee you up. All right. Place your bets brought to you by johnanik.com, where we are closing the merchandise store. So promo code UFC 327 will get you 20% off through that live event on April 11th. The store will be open at johnanik.com. We do have future plans on the merchandise front, rest assured, but that store will be closing. And thanks to everybody who continues to subscribe to the Anik Florian Podcast channel. That is the best way to support the show. We thank you for that. You can also subscribe to All the Smoke Fight. We thank you in advance. All right. I'm going to update the results. So Kenny was up $2 going in. So you did hit on Alexa Grasso at plus 145. You lost a straight on Ignacio Bahamondes. No action on the Ricky Simone. Mansour Abdul-Malik was a loss. And the straight on Israel Adesanya was a loss. Not too much damage sustained. Minus 307.97 is your year-to-date figure. Jason Anik has not been betting every card. He is plus $800 on the year. Ken Flo, you get $1,000. UFC Fight Night, Moicano versus Duncan. The floor is yours.
I got a little surprise for you, Jay. I'm going to go Ewing here. I'm going to go 300 buckaroos on Ethan Ewing, Ithwin Ewing, and give me another 700 on our girl, Tabitha Ricci.
Oh, wow. Kenny, it'll be interesting to see who tails you. I'm not necessarily relevant, but I was going to put a whole 1,000 on Tabitha Ricci.
Wow.
But ultimately, I'm going to look at some props. Tabitha by decision. I couldn't find an odd, but Ricci by decision. I think Jandiroba is tough enough not to necessarily get put out in 3 rounds. So you'll get a more favorable number than the -115 if you look at by decision. I also might peek at Tabitha with a later round knockout, perhaps like maybe third round knockout or whatever. But I just love Tabitha Ricci in this spot, despite being a fan of Jandiroba. And John, thank you for not playing the file. Like, Cody, can you fucking play the file again? Because it's fucking cockeyed.
Wait, are you asking him to?
No, I'm saying I'm shocked. You're like, Cody, since Jandiroba's fighting this week, why don't we play the file? Don't fuck out of here. And by the way, I'm repping the Wolf. I'm repping my guy Wolf. Okay, Rob Perez, Dirty Boxing, April 10th. And those who are anyone who's going to be in Miami though for the UFC 327 on April 11th, Dirty Boxing in Miami the night before. Tickets won't be as expensive as they will for the UFC. James L. Knight Center, whatever, come through. Anyway.
Nicely done. We will see you.
Yes, for John. Must be for you.
I didn't call for it. I didn't put it in the rundown. Jay, nicely done. And yes, those propositions on Tabitha Ricci, oftentimes not available until later in the week. We tape on a Monday. So $1,000 on Ricci. We'll see how it goes. Jay, go get a haircut.
I was going to say, Jay's been hot, so that gives me a little more confidence on my Ricci pick. So,
he has had a good 2026. He still can't afford a haircut, but
I think it looks good.
I'm getting
way better hair
than top.
No, it's all right now that you fix it a little bit, but Jesus,
way better hair than John Kerry.
Because you have so many female viewers, right? Get the fuck out of here. Anyway, 98% male party on this. Yeah, you kicking me out to do your little close, you know? Yeah, go ahead. Kick me out. You do a little fucking side by side, right?
Cody, can you get him the fuck out of here? Thank you, Jay. At Boston Anik on Instagram if you want more of that noise. Thank you to our guests today, Joe Pyfer, Platinum Mike Perry, Ray Longo, Jason Anik. Thanks to our producer, Cody Merrow, the great Nathan Bronson, and everybody else behind the scenes at All the Smoke Fight. Thank you all for applying to be our intern. No, thank you all for subscribing to the Anik Florian podcast. We will run the internship sweepstakes back, but that is a story for another day. We will be back with you on Wednesday, April 8th. That will be the date upon which we bring you our UFC 327 preview. 2 title fights going down in Miami, and we look forward to bringing all of that your way. With that, for Kenny Florian and everybody behind the scenes, John Anik saying so long for now. We will talk to you in about 8 days. Until then, have a great day and a better evening. Go get yourself a Big Mac. Yo, later.